Okay, so now I'm going to make a start on the beak. If you want to tidy an edge up, you can always use a putty eraser or some blue tack or something like that. Just press it into the surface. I want the edge to be fairly clean, so I don't want too much green of the background on there. And then you can see I'm using the usual glassine paper to rest my hands on. Now the purple shaft of the pencil, that means it's a Derwent one. Okay, not my favourite brand, as I mentioned in most of my videos, but there's some nice colours in there. Now this shiny brown or woody looking shaft, that's Gioconda. Now Gioconda I find has got the brightest, most vibrant colours in the range, and the only downfall is when you've got bright, vibrant colours like that, they pretty much always come from the softer pastels. Now softer pastels means more difficult to sharpen. Okay, so with the Gioconda or Caran d'Ache, that's another very soft pastel pencil, that's where you need to be either using a sharpener that's got a new blade in there, or a sharpener like a razor blade really, to sharpen them. Now I'm starting off pretty much, other than the edge, with very light strokes. The thing to keep in mind with pastels is once you fill the tooth of the paper, all you can then put on top is really some light, very soft pastel strokes. Okay, so strokes with something like Caran d'Ache, very soft pastels. So what you don't want to do and what you want to try to avoid with pastels is fill in the tooth of the paper either throughout the whole drawing or at least in the very, very early stages. Filling the tooth of the paper will make the pastel appearance look softer and smoother and more blended, so that's great for a background. Okay, we don't have to worry about filling the tooth of the paper on the background or not filling it, because we're not going to put details on top of it. Okay, so that's an advantage, or that's where putting plenty of pastel down works well on a background. But when you're doing something else like this beak or the bird or whatever it is, you want to be able to keep making adjustments for as long as you possibly can. Okay, so light strokes early on. As you get more confident with the colour and your tonal values, you put more and more pastel on. Okay, so that's what I'm doing now. You can see now how extremely light that initial pencil work was. Remember when I put the pencil on the side, just indicating where the colours were going to be. Don't have to do that, but it makes it easier now, as you can see, to follow. Bring comparison to the weight of the strokes that I'm putting on now. You can see how little pastel I actually put down. If I want something like this area, a real matte defined area, then I can put some more pressure down. Okay, and I'm just blending one colour into another. Any blending on the beak with my fingers, need to make sure my fingers are completely clean. I don't want to be doing anything like blending the dark background and then, without wiping my fingers on a microfiber cloth, rubbing onto a vibrant beak area, because if I muddy that, I'm going to struggle to bring the vibrancy of colour back. Now on that topic of vibrancy of colour, also I don't want anything underneath the areas that are going to be extremely bright, so that's really the red areas, the orangey red areas. I don't want anything under there that's a subdued colour. Nothing darker than that red, nothing a dirtier colour than the red, so I don't want any like dark purples or greys or anything at all under that red, because anything under there is going to mix with the colour on top to some degree, and that's going to mean I won't have that colour brightness and vibrancy. Okay, so pure colours is what I need when I'm doing this, just as I said, to keep the colour purity and vibrancy. So I'm going to carry on now with the beak, building up these colours. Now as you can see, as the colours are building up, they're looking smoother, more blended, more vibrant. That's what we want on the beak. The beak is a shiny surface, so I don't want any texture there, and when I want to blend I can use a paper stump, and you see almost like tickling the surface of the pastel, and that helps to blend. I can wipe the stump then on my microfiber cloth. That cleans the end to some degree, and if I'm perhaps using it for the purple area, you see the greyed purple area of the beak, I'll use either a different stump that I usually use for darker colours, or I'll use the other end of the one you just saw. Okay, so I don't want to then put the one that I'm using to blend the darker colours into the side that I'm using to blend the vibrant side. So I'll keep one end for the vibrant colours, I'll keep the other end for the darker colours, or as I said, use a different stump. They're very, very cheap, and I've generally got lots of those hanging around in the studio. When I'm doing the edge, you can see I'm just going over the background slightly. I'm not butting up to the edge of the background. Okay, so lighter end of the stump, gentle circular strokes, and you see that smooths it better, more fully than my finger would, and more accurately as well. But there's no reason then you can't use a clean finger as you want, just to soften the edge slightly. That's why I was doing this, stopping it having a cutout appearance. So once again, I'll carry on now with my vibrant colours. That's our Gioconda pencil again, and just really starting to lay down some more vibrant pastel, more thickness to it, more pressure on the pencil, so I'm depositing more pastel, then it's looking richer in colour. Now my pencil's a little bit sharper. This is a General's charcoal pencil. I've used that a couple of times lately. You can use charcoal and pastel on the same drawing. Doesn't make any difference. They're both really pretty much the same type of thing. So if you've already got charcoal, white pencils, black pencils in particular, you can test those out, try them, see if you prefer them. You may find that they're a little perhaps harder than a pastel. Perhaps you can get a bit of a sharper edge. These General make, they're very, very common in America. Very easy to find and pick up anyway. And the whites seem, really quite good. So all I'm doing is just picking out a few details on the beak. I need to get a bit more vibrancy of colour in there, so I'll work on the reds and the oranges a little more as I'm building up the texture, but it is starting to take shape. Also need to darken the background, I can see now in places, to make the colour of the beak, as I said earlier on, stand out more, be more vibrant. Okay, slowed it back down, and now I'm really going to increase the intensity of the colour. So I've got my reddest, most vibrant red of my set, so once again back to the Gioconda, and I'm just touching up the colour, making it brighter and more saturated. Okay, so remember when I said don't put too much pastel down earlier on, it's because of this reason. Now I can come back on top. Now I've got 90% of it done, I can more accurately judge if I need to go redder, perhaps more orange, make the slighter, more finesse type of strokes, and you can see that colour richness is really increasing. Now I could have gone over the whole drawing and just done, you know, kind of an under drawing properly on the whole puffin and then started adding more details on top in all the areas. It's personal preference. If you've got something that's really showy like this, the beak of the puffin, you can finish it off. If you're really inspired to do that at that particular time, just go for it. There's no real rules about having to finish an area or not finish an area. Some artists like to work on a small area at a time, some like to work on the whole drawing at a time, and that's totally up to you.